All right, y'all. So basically, this is my predictions for the playoffs in 2023. Now, starting in the Eastern Conference, you know what I'm saying? First round, Bucks versus Heat. It's easy Bucks. I ain't gonna lie, Bucks in 6 because I didn't think the Heat would come out as strong as they did in Game 1, and I am confident in playoff Jimmy to take another game at least. But with the Bucks defense inside with Giannis and Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis as their big man rotation, and then they're shooting with Grayson Allen and Drew Holiday and all the three-point shooters they have on their team, it's gonna be really hard for the Heat to make that upset. I'm not gonna lie. So I got them in like 6. Then for the Cavs versus Knicks, this is actually the best playoff series in the first round in my opinion, or I think it's gonna be the closest one. Now this could go either way. I'm not mad at you if you choose either team because both teams are young and they're still improving. Now the Knicks do have more playoff experience technically, but I still think I'm going to take the Cavs on this one because the interior presence with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen will be eventually too much for them to handle, and both of them guarding Julius Randle in the paint is going to make it really hard for him to be a factor in the series. So I'm going to take Cavs in like 6 or 7 games. I'm going to go with 6 though, 6 games. And then you have the 76ers versus the Nets. Now it's probably going to be a sweep. This is probably going to be the easiest sweep in the playoffs, I guess. In the first round, it'll probably be a sweep. I'm not going to lie. 76ers in fucking 4 because Nick Claxton is not enough for Joel Embiid, and they don't have any interior presence to stop Joel Embiid, if we're being completely honest. So I got 76ers in 4. Now, the last playoff matchup in the East is going to be the Celtics versus the Hawks, and this is easy. I got Celtics in 5, maybe 6, because the Hawks actually do have really good three-point shooting, and I do expect them to shoot lights out 1 or 2 games. But ultimately, the Celtics defense is just way better, and they have star players that are more reliable and battle-tested. So, yeah, Celtics in about 5 or 6. Then moving on to the West, we do have Lakers versus Grizzlies in the first round, and as many people think that the young Grizzlies are probably going to come out of this one because maybe this Lakers are too washed up and old now at this point, I still think the Lakers got what it takes. And they literally have a really good defensive rotation ever since the trade. They have Jared Vanderbilt and Anthony Davis roaming the paint, as well as LeBron, who can still guard at this age. And they have D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley for more three-point shooting. I think this will be a quite easy series for the Lakers if they can step up their game. I'm going to say Lakers in 6. Now, Sacramento Kings versus the Golden State Warriors is definitely one of the trickiest matchups to predict because as of recording this, it is 2-1 in the Kings' favor, but I still think I'm going to have to take the Warriors here, but it's not going to be easy. De'Aaron Fox is showing star power that he hasn't shown since his career started, so he's going to be a huge factor in the series if the Kings are going to win, and I don't really think the Warriors have a true answer for Domantas Sabonis, but if their rotations keep circling like they usually do and their three-point shooting does outscore the Kings in most of the games, and their defense is solid as well with the good rotations, if Draymond Green comes back still performing as he usually does, then yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Warriors in 7. I think this is a 7-game series just because of the Kings early start and the fact the Warriors are really bad on the road, but I'm still taking Warriors in 7. Now for the next matchup, we have the Suns versus the Clippers, which is probably the best series in the first round, I'm going to be honest. I thought actually the second best because the Cavs versus Knicks, but this is a really close series, but if Paul George was healthy, it would be a different story. I think I have the Suns right here in 6 or 7 games. I'm going to go 6 though, because Kevin Durant and Devin Booker is crazy star power, and I just do not think that the Clippers really have an answer for that much offensive firepower on one team. And at the same time, they do not have Paul George consistently being there, and Russell Westbrook isn't the best option, at least in the playoffs now, because after his prime, he's been on a steady decline. And unless Kawhi turns into the player he was in 2019 and wills that team to the second round, I really don't think it's possible they can beat the Suns this early. So I'm going to go Suns in 6. Denver versus Timberwolves doesn't even deserve a real explanation. I think Denver in 4, if not 5, because the constant scoring between Jokic, Murray, and Michael Porter Jr., as well as the defensive adjustments that they can make in the interior, I really think it's going to be hard for the Timberwolves to do anything in this series, especially because their best defending big, Rudy Gobert, isn't really playing as much. So I'm going to have to go with Nuggets pretty easily here in 4 or 5 games. I'm going to go 4, though. I think it's going to be a sweep. Now in the second round, I'm going to start with the Western Conference. We do have the Nuggets versus the Suns, which is going to be a very good matchup. It can go either way, really, but it's hard to bet against Jokic, but I really do think that the pick and roll game that the Suns are going to provide is going to be way too much for Jokic to handle defensively on his own, and this is the series where people are going to start questioning his defense. So again, this is going to be a really close series, but I do have Suns in 7 games. I think they can push it to 7, although I wouldn't be surprised if it ends in 6 or even sooner. I do have Suns in 7, though. And even after this, if Jokic does win his 3rd MVP, there are going to be real conversations about him having 3 MVPs but no rings, and he is going to get a lot more backlash than love from the community if he really does go earlier than the Western Conference Finals, if I'm being honest. And on the other side, in the second round for the Western Conference, we do have the Warriors versus the Lakers, which is a very hard matchup to predict. Now, the Lakers do really have a team that is built to counter Stephen Curry and what he does. And I truly think that nobody on the Warriors is stopping Anthony Davis. Now, this is a pretty Mickey argument, but truly, Kevon Looney is not doing shit with Anthony Davis in the paint. And with the constant defensive rotation of Vanderbilt and Davis in the paint, I really think it's going to be hard for Stephen Curry to score, especially if Vanderbilt is on him and they have the defensive presence that they do have in the paint. Now, LeBron is going to be LeBron. Even if he isn't LeBron, I expect Anthony Davis to show out a lot in this series, especially because the Warriors haven't really had any real bigs, and I don't think Draymond is going to stop him either. So I'm going to say Lakers in 6 for this series, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does go to 7 or even the other way. But I'm going to say Lakers in 6 just because it seems like the most logical way to go. And in the Western Conference Finals for this matchup is the Suns versus the... It's the Suns versus the Lakers, right? Okay. KD versus LeBron is going to be interesting, but again, I think the Suns really do lack the defensive presence that the Lakers have. And even though it will be a really close series, I think this is the series where Chris Paul is really going to get exposed the most, and people are truly going to see how much his downcline has affected his play. And D'Angelo Russell is going to have a really good series. LeBron's going to have a really good series, especially because he's going to try his hardest against KD. And both of these players do have something to prove. LeBron's going to be trying to add to his GOAT case, while KD's going to try to be proving he can win a ring without the Warriors. So, gun to my head, I'm going to say Lakers in 6, but it is going to be a good series. That's going to be one that we will not forget as NBA fans. So now that I have the Lakers in the finals, I'll move on to the second round in the Eastern Conference, where you have the Bucks versus the Cavs. And out of any young team in the league, or even in the Eastern Conference, I really do think this is the best team that can match up with the Bucks because of their interior presence that they do have and the young backcourts that they do have in Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. Now, I really do think Donovan Mitchell is going to have his hands full with the scoring aspect. Their offense is going to have to heavily revolve around him if they even want to have a chance in this series. And Jared Allen and Evan Mobley will be having to try their hardest to stop Giannis at any means possible. But at the same time, this team is underexperienced in the playoffs, as this is going to be their first playoff run. So truly, I'm going to go with experience here, and I'm going to say Bucks in 6. But this is going to be actually a surprisingly good series for people who want to watch it. And in the other side, we have Sixers versus the Celtics. Now, this might be the best series in the entire playoffs, with the Joel Embiid MVP hype and then the Celtics trying to make their way back to the finals. Ultimately, it'll have to be Celtics in 7. I think this is a 7-game series, but ultimately, I think Doc Rivers is going to get outcoached, and the constant rotation of Celtics defense is going to be way too much for everybody to handle, and Joel Embiid cannot carry that team on his back through an entire 7 games versus the Celtics. So, gun to my head, I'm going to say Celtics in 7. And now that I have Celtics in 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals, we have the Bucks versus the Celtics. This game, I think Middleton will be a factor because he was injured in their series last year. I'm going to say Bucks in 7 just because I think their defense is more consistent than the Celtics, and they don't truly have a big down low that can stop Giannis. Although they did do a solid job of it last year with the constant rotation of Jason Tatum and Al Horford and Grant Williams, I don't think they're going to be able to replicate that this year, especially because Giannis is back and better, in my opinion, and they also have Chris Middleton back, and their team is on fire, with Brook Lopez also being a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. It's just going to be too much for the Celtics to handle. And finally, I have the Lakers and the Bucks both in the finals. This is going to be a really good series with LeBron trying to get his 5th ring and Giannis trying to get his 2nd ring in the past 5 years. Now, this is going to be really tough to decide because both of these teams are really consistent and both of them have really solid defense. But if we're talking about defense and offense, because you do have to consider both sides of the ball, I think both of their defenses are top tier and they probably have 2 of the best defenses in the league. But when it comes to the Lakers offense, I don't think they're going to be able to produce as much as the Bucks offense would against the Lakers. And truly, I think this is where LeBron and AD's tank eventually run out, and I don't think LeBron will be able to will his way through this series against Giannis and the Bucks. I'm going to have Bucks in 6 in this series, and honestly, whoever came out of the East was probably going to beat whoever was coming out of the West. So there you have it. Bucks are my NBA champions. Comment down below if you have different predictions, and if you like the ones I made, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.